Good evening, everyone. I'm back from my evening drive. Headed to, guess where? The gym. I had someone, let me give you the date. Today still is October 19th, 2023. It's approximately 4:30 p.m. I had someone ask me, say, if you because I believe in God, say, if you believe in, but I don't go to church, I do not believe in church, you can't pay me to step foot in church. And so somebody asked me, like, man, what's your problem with church? If you believe in God, why you don't go to church? What's your issue with church? You must have been what they call church hurt. They call it church hurt or whatever when you don't want to go to church or whatever. Like, they believe, you got believers that believe that you ain't no believer if you don't go to church, especially their church, because their church is the right one. So, somebody that knows me, know that I pretty much, I'm like, man, I ain't dealing with no churches, bro. Y'all can have that. And so they were like, well, what's your issue with the church? Why you don't like going to church, man? Why you don't want to go to church? And like, let me get this disclaimer out of the way. The things I'm finna say is not about all churches. I haven't been to all churches. I don't know all pastors, so it ain't about all pastors. But if what I say offends you or touches a nerve or make you feel some type of way, it's probably your church. Your church probably one of the ones I'm talking about. So if it ain't your church, if it ain't your pastor, if your pastor ain't like this, if your church ain't like this, ain't no need of you coming on here being offended and talking noise and acting like what I'm saying don't happen. Just call it ain't your church. Don't act like it don't happen. Don't act like it don't go on. Don't ask me why am I talking about this, because I make content. That's why. I'm a content creator. I discuss topics and things that happen in the world. This happens in the world, so that's why I'm talking about it. It's my channel. If you don't like it, follow that finger that way. So, again, if this ain't your church, don't worry about it. If you get offended and feel some type of way, it's probably your church that I'm talking about, that you experiencing this. So, and like I said, just because it ain't happening at your church and not your pastor, don't act like you don't know this stuff happens when I'm about to run down. Okay. Some of the reasons I don't go to church, I am not church hurt. I ain't hurt at all. I just had enough of seeing the same thing in the church that I'm seeing in the street. I done had enough of seeing the game that the pastor running when I run game. And the old saying goes, game recognize game. I'm an ex-hustler, dealer, street dude. So when I see one, I know one. When I see a pimp, I know one. When I see a flim-flammer, I know one when I see one because I was one. I'm rehabilitated. But that don't mean I forgot the game. So, I'm going to take y'all back a minute. My first few personal experiences that turned me against. I don't trust no pastors, but that don't mean ain't no pastors no good. Let's get that understood. I don't trust none of them. I don't think none of them worth a damn because, and that goes for me too, I ain't worth a damn. We all human. The Bible speaks, God say we all are as filthy rags. So anybody pretending to be righteous and holy and all that, you full of it. In my opinion, according to the word. We all are as filthy rags. How are you holy? Yeah, God say be holy, but that don't mean you are. It's a lot of stuff God told us to do we don't do. But anyway, so back in the early 90s, right, I was going through some tough time. My mother passed in my arms. And I pretty much had a nervous breakdown, right? I didn't want to be here no more. Life was just, it was just rough for me. I went through some dark days. So like a lot of people, I I called myself running to the church, in which I thought was running to God. But it wasn't running to God, I was running to man. Church is man, church is not God, but y'all believe what you want to believe. So I called myself running to God, right, during my darkest hours. Because I remember my mother telling me, God will never turn his back on you, right? So that's what I thought I was doing by running to the church. I was running to God. I found out later on that was the farthest thing from the truth. So, during this time, I was in the bodybuilding, which I still am, but I was seriously heavy into it competition-wise. And body was right. I had lesbian women talking about they were thinking about being straight because looking at me. I kid you not, no lie. I had lesbian women saying, boy, you making me think about being straight. That's how right I was at one time in my early 20s. And so I went to this church, right, up the street from my house, looking for some hope and some answers and some help. I was desperate. How about y'all, the damn pastor came on to me. A well-known pastor. He was a down low homo. He wasn't no somebody that everybody would know that, how some people you just know they like that. Then for one of them married, first lady, got a first lady, all that well-known, well-established pastor. This man looking at me, because I went, how you go up to the front of the congregation, they pray over you. Do you need prayer? Come up to come up to the altar for prayer. Y'all know, church people know. I ain't no church person, so that was something new to me. Come up to the altar for prayer. So I go up there because I felt I needed prayer. And they got a hand all on my head praying for me and stuff like that. You know how they do, all that. And I got my hands all up. And I happened to look, and he just looked at me in my eye. He got this look right. I ain't thinking that I'm hurting him in pain. I ain't thinking none of that right. So he started what you call mentoring me. He saw, he took interest in helping me get my life together, get my, my situation I was dealing with. He was really trying to help me. The man came on to me in so many words. After kind of befriending me, winning my trust, having me thinking that he's trying to help me, he want me to hit him. Y'all know what I mean by, So I'm like, damn. That sent me to another church. I go to another church, running from this church, what I'm saying? It ain't all churches, it's just that church, that pastor. Go to another church that my cousin was a member of, invited me to his church. So forth and so on. My cousin he ended up telling me about the pastor of that church hit on him. I'm like, much as they preach against homosexuality, why am I running across all these homosexual pastors? I ran from one homosexual pastor that don't nobody know he's a homosexual. I ain't never told nobody. I ain't mentioned his name. I ain't gonna do that. That's between him and God. And so I go to my cousin's church. His pastor hitting on him. Now he gotta leave his church. Now we both gotta find another church. So I'm like, well, damn. So here I go again. It ain't all churches, which it ain't. I ain't gonna sit here and say all pastors are gay. So then I started thinking about, damn, I remember a story when I was a child. You know how when you be in they say stay out of grown folk business. Don't be hanging around with grown folk talking. I'm eavesdropping on my mother and one of her friends talking. And it brought back that memory of when she said about some prominent pastors in my city, hometown of Mobile, Alabama. 2 pastors got caught having relations in the church, gay. 2 men caught in the church. In the church doing it. And I'm like, damn, them incidents that happened to me and my cousin reminded me of when I was over, eavesdropping on my mom, which I wasn't supposed to be doing, talking about, the church gossip, church mess, about these particular pastors that got caught having sex that was known all over the city within the church community. I ain't gonna say their names. People from Mobile, my age and older, know who I'm talking about, but I ain't gonna say no name. But y'all know what I'm talking about, and I ain't making it up. It was well known in the church community. So I'm like, well, damn, it's just what it's gonna be. So I was like, no, this ain't what it's gonna be. So I kept trying because I'm still looking for the Lord. So I go to some other churches throughout my journey seeking God. So I didn't run across no more homosexual pastor that I know of, or none that came on to me. But what I did run across was the hustlers, the pimps. I ran across the pastors that's sleeping with I ain't gonna say all the women, but more than his wife in the church. And everybody knew about it, and it still would go. People knew what the pastor was doing, and they still would go because he can preach. Pastor so-and-so sure can preach. But I'm like, but don't y'all know? Everybody know what he's doing. It was like no big deal. Like, well, damn. What's up with these people? These people are weird. Not just the pastor, the members. I'm in here real. I'm real with whatever I do. If I'm a street hustler, if I'm a thug, if I'm a dealer, hustler, whatever I am, I'm real with it. So if I'm over here trying to find God, I'm real with that too. I'm not in here playing, running game and for image or show. I'm in here for real. And I find out these people in here, it's just a show, man. I ain't saying for all churches, all church people, or all pastors. I just say it again because some of y'all gonna get butthurt. All churches ain't like that. I said that in the beginning, I'm gonna say it again. I ain't talking about all. I'm talking about my experience. These people in here is crazy. They know what the pastor doing. They doing it and everything. Ain't no deliverance being done. Ain't no changes being made. Ain't no salvation going on. It's just the better the pastor can preach, the bigger the congregation. Somebody told me, well, maybe you just need to go to a smaller church, and smaller churches is where it's at. You gotta go to a smaller church. They really there for the Lord. No, the only reason that church small is because your pastor boring. If your pastor can preach and he was good at what he was doing, his congregation will be big too, because people in there to be entertained. Just my opinion. The better the entertainer, like a artist, a singer, a rapper, the more records they gonna sell, the better your pastor preach, the bigger his congregation. Because the word gonna get out that he sure can preach. The better he make you feel, the more you gonna come. That's what I learned. As far as bringing people to God, my experience, let me say that one more time, my experience, not yours. I ain't talking about your pastor or your church again. And y'all know them church people, you gotta say it over and over again. I know your church might not be like that, because all of them believe their church is the one. So, I ain't talking about your church. I'm talking about the churches that I've been through, the 10 or 15 different churches over my lifetime that got me where I ain't going back no more. Me and God, all right, where we at? I see God right here. I see God everywhere I go. I ain't got to come in your building with that pimp up there. I ain't saying your pastor pimp. I'm talking about the ones I ran across. They were homosexuals. They were hustlers. They were pimps. They were running game. They were flim-flammers. How do I know that? Other than the homosexual part, I was all that too. So I know when I see him. I ain't know about the homosexual part. I ain't know so many of them was gay. I ain't know about that. Only way I found that out about them coming on to me, that I found out they're gay too. But as far as the pimps and the hustlers and the running game, and they was on drugs, they was smoking crack, they was doing all types of stuff, the pastors. I done been to churches where the word was known that whenever the pastor's around women, other women have to be around him. you can't leave pastor alone around women because he gonna try something. And they knew this. But they still following this man. Let me say it again. They pastor was so weak for women the way he couldn't be left alone around women. And they all knew this. They all had the understanding that you was not to leave pastor alone around women, he gonna get in some shit. But y'all still believe that this man is a man of God. Y'all believe that. And I'm sitting there looking at this stuff. I'm a man who got a little sense. I ain't going for that. If this is the way to God, if this is the way to heaven, I guess I'm going to hell. Because I ain't coming up in here with y'all. No more. Don't invite me to your church because your church different. If your church different, that's great. Enjoy yourself. I'm good. Don't nobody come invite me to their church no more. I'm not going. I ain't looking for nobody's church. Me and God good where we at. If God decides that he want me to go to somebody's church again, he got to show up in the flesh, like physically right there and say, hey, go to this church. Other than that, I ain't going. I ain't listening to no voice in my head. My heart led me here. None of that. God got to physically speak to me and say, go to such and such church. Other than that, I ain't going. Y'all a mess. And y'all know it. You know I ain't lying. You know what I'm telling you the truth. How in the hell you got these pastors living in, I ain't gonna speak on the name of the church in Mobile, Alabama. Small little building, supposed to be taking up all these donations. I remember I went to this church, man. It might have been 8, 9 donation offerings in one service. But they taking up money because they didn't finna purchase land to build a bigger church. And a lot of the members don't even know because the church ain't been built yet. They done took out a lease or something on the land where they done borrow money on the land to buy the pastor $1 million home. The pastor got a bigger home for God got a bigger home. The church. I ain't gonna say the name of the church. That ain't what I'm here for. I'm just explaining to you, the person that asked me why I don't go to church, even though I believe in God and I need to find me a good church home. All churches ain't like that. This is the answer to you. Some of y'all right now in this church right now don't know pastor that took the money that y'all supposed to be building a bigger church with. Y'all still in that same little small church because pastor done took y'all money and then went and built him $1 million home. Which in Mobile, $1 million home is like a $10 million home somewhere else. You know, cost of living is real low. For $1 million Mobile, you're gonna get a mansion. Pastor living in a mansion, but the church lives hell. But some of y'all might know what church I'm talking about. I ain't finna say the name of it. I'm just, so y'all, that ain't what I'm here for. I ain't calling out no individual person, no individual church. I'm just saying in general, y'all ain't gotta worry about seeing me in now. And so I hope this answers your question. If you have a good church and a good pastor, good for you. Bless your heart. But don't come in the comments and invite me to your church. And you ain't got to waste your time telling me all churches ain't like that. Because I ain't been to all churches, so I'm quite sure all of them ain't like that. I'm quite sure there are some good ministers, some good pastors, and some real men of God out there. So I ain't talking about them. But the ones I'm talking about, y'all know, even the church people that's at a good church, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm just not willing to take a chance on your church because of the bullshit churches I done been through. You might have the best church in the world. I ain't finna even take a chance. I ain't going through that no more. So I'm finna go into the gym. I had to answer that question. That's the reason I'm making this video, because somebody asked me. Other than that, I ain't trying to throw no shade and salt on churches. Somebody asked me that. It was a question that I was asked. So I decided to make a video about it. Since that's what I do. I'm a content creator. If you don't understand that, why are you making a video? Why are you watching it? Instead of why am I making it? You watching it. So I must have did something right. Anyway, let me hit this gym, y'all, and I'll holler at y'all later.